Nuclear power. Nuclear power is a reasonably new form of energy that has been introduced to today's society. Although it is a cheap and easy method to create electricity, the main question that must be answered is if the benefits of nuclear power outweigh the many disadvantages that come as a result of its use. Nuclear power is the use of nuclear reactors in order to produce nuclear energy, thus creating electricity. The pursuit of nuclear power began in the early 20th century when scientists discovered that radioactive elements gave off immense amounts of energy. The first radioactive element that scientists discovered contained this amount of energy was radium. Although the energy that was produced could have massive potential, it was impractical at the time because there was no means of harnessing this energy. It was also already known that the intensely radioactive elements had reactions that were by their nature short-lived. This happened because the elements would begin with a high energy release that would follow by small half-lives, which are an exponential decay in power. This situation changed, though, in the early 1940s with the discovery of a method which originated from the discovery of the neutron in 1932 by James Chadwick. In 1942, it was discovered that the nuclei of uranium could be split to produce tremendous amounts of energy. This reaction would occur when the nuclei of specific forms of its isotopes were struck and split by neutrons. This would be known as nuclear fission, which results in the formation of energy, neutrons, and smaller nuclei, which would be around half the size of its original. Nuclear fission also results in about 4 times the amount of energy as compared to a conventional reaction. At first, nuclear power was not used for the creation of usable electricity, but was instead used to create weapons of mass destruction. Many governments in countries like France, Germany, the Soviet Union, and the United States petitioned for the support of nuclear fission research just in time for World War II, in order to develop a nuclear weapon. The first man-made reactor was called the Chicago Pile 1 and was built in the United States. It was part of the Manhattan Project that made enriched uranium and contained a chain of many reactors that bred plutonium for use in the first nuclear weapons. These bombs were later used in the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan. In the 1950s, the United States researched nuclear marine propulsion systems. These would then be used in the creation of nuclear-powered submarines, with the test reactor being created in 1953. The final product was created in 1955 and was soon launched. The first product of electricity that was generated from nuclear power occurred on December 20th, 1951 in Arco, Idaho. This only initially created around 100 kilowatts of electricity, but it was a step closer to finding a better use of nuclear power. Following this creation of electricity was the Atoms for Peace speech, which was given by American President Dwight Eisenhower, which emphasized the need to develop more peaceful uses of nuclear power quickly. Soon there was a rapid declassification of U.S. reactor technology, which encouraged private development. This would then involve a learning phase, with an abundance of partial core meltdowns and accidents at facilities. On June 27, 1954, the Soviet Union's Obninsk nuclear power plant became the first plant to generate electricity for a power grid and produced roughly 5 megawatts of electricity. At this point, the age of the use of nuclear power to create electricity had begun. In the United States, the first commercial nuclear generator started in Pennsylvania during 1957 and paved the way for many, many more to be built. Economically, nuclear power was the cheapest option available, especially since uranium is so abundant in the Earth's crust. It is estimated that around 670 years of uranium is left, and the price per kilogram of it is exponentially lower than the prices of other forms of electric energy, like oil. Although this may seem fantastic to many, the risks of such use of nuclear power plants became much more evident in March of 1979. At the 3 Mile Island nuclear reactor near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, fusion reactions in the reactor core went out of control and created massive amounts of heat, which resulted in a meltdown. The control and fuel rods were completely melted, and the cooling water was turned to steam. Until 2012, no other reactors were ordered in the United States, and the 65 plants that were on order at the time were canceled. On April 26, 1986, a larger global blow to the nuclear industry transpired with the explosion at the Chernobyl nuclear plant. This resulted in the worst meltdown in the history of any nuclear reactor with the most casualties. To this day, Chernobyl, Ukraine is still uninhabited since the incident because of the insanely high amounts of radiation. Because of this radiation, the wildlife that is left over experiences severe mutations. The 2011 Fukushima nuclear accident in Japan, caused by the tsunami, also caused certain nations to reevaluate their stance on nuclear power. Countries such as Germany have shut down all of their facilities and even gone to the extent of completely ridding themselves of them. By 2022, Germany stated that all nuclear operations will have been seized. Besides the accidents that have occurred, there is also another problem that arose with the use of nuclear power. This is the issue of spent nuclear wastes. About 1/3 of the 10 million fuel pellets that are used in any reactor must be removed and replaced every year because of the byproducts of the fission reaction that are left over. These radioactive pellets must be disposed of in a safe manner, but such a safe manner has not been discovered in the 70 years since the first nuclear reactor was created. So far, the radioactive pellets are temporarily stored in places close to the reactors themselves. Many argue that no further use of nuclear power should remain until a better method of radioactive waste management is developed. Nuclear power has proven itself in its efficiency and low expenses, but it's also put into question on whether or not it's safe just yet. Only time will tell if nuclear energy will show its dominance over the other forms of power that we have today.